In brightest day,
in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Hey guys, welcome back to Comic Run Talk. We talk about a particular run on a comic book. Today, we'll be going over Sam Humphries' Green Lantern run. So, Green Lantern is actually one of my favorite superheroes, actually one of my favorite things in the DC Universe, actually. Because, well, it's just a space cop wielding a magic ring where the only limit is, your imagination. In a lot of ways, it almost sort of weaponizes your Hogwarts house, if you really think about it. So, Green Lantern was actually the first superhero I actually liked from the Justice League cartoon. As before, I'd only seen Hal once or twice on shows like the Super Friends, and he was just sort of Green Lantern, and that's just kind of lame. So, a little bit of history. Starting New 52 with Green Lantern was kind of a mistake, really, if you're just getting into comic books. You see, when DC did the New 52, it was understood that everything was getting rebooted, starting over from the beginning.
So that was a fucking lie.
Or at the very least, a miscommunication, a misunderstanding on their part, because Green Lantern did not reboot. It continued from everything. It was like Flashpoint did not affect the Green Lantern universe. Jeff Johns was still going strong with his run. Jeff Johns, who also wrote Flashpoint. So take from that what you will. But coming to Sam Humphries' Green Lantern's run, the reason it was important to sort of preface that, to preface that, was because, well, Sam Humphries is taking our two newest Green Lanterns at the time, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, out of Justice League and Green Lantern, both of which were written by Jeff Johns. It was an interesting idea, and I think appropriate for these two to have their own book together. So a little bit of history on them. So Simon Baz is a Muslim, because 9/11 happened, I guess, and he got the ring in one of the most frustratingly weird things ever. So he was being interrogated by the FBI after he was caught stealing a car that unknowingly had a bomb in it. And this is the only reason I mentioned the Muslim thing, because it's like, you're not trying to be racist, but, there's a bomb in your car. You're a Muslim. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but I gotta take you in now. And while he's being interrogated, he gets Sinestro's ring because stuff is going on involving the First Lantern and the Third Army. And for the most part, he's just sort of along for the ride with the story with the First Lantern, and ultimately the end of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. Jessica Cruz got her ring. Well, Jessica Cruz is a shut-in with anxiety who pretty much gets that because, well, one day when she was camping with her friends, she saw some guys burning a body, and only she survived. And during the whole Forever Evil Trinity War debacle, which I really, really didn't like, Forever Evil was alright. Well, she gets a ring from the Earth 3's Crime Syndicate member Power Ring. And that ring sort of feeds on her fear. It's a weird green ring like that. And she was officially given a proper Green Lantern ring in Darkseid War. One thing I liked about Simon and Jessica is outside of all that, outside of all the stories, what makes them stand out is they sort of break the mold of Green Lanterns. Sort of think about, if you look at previous Green Lanterns, let's sort of shelve Alan Scott, because we'll come back to Alan when we do JSA. But if you look at Hal Jordan, member of the Air Force, John Stewart, a Marine, Guy Gardner from a family of cops, these are service members, people who do service. That's stupid. People who in one form or another commit their life to duty. And Kyle Rayner could actually be a representative of the draft, because he was pretty much just thrown into being a Green Lantern. And you could say the same thing for these two as well, but there's less of an oomph for them being lanterns. Like, there was no urgency for Simon Baz in terms of his own personal world and the needs. Sinestro had to send out an all-point bulletin. Like, someone had to get the ring. His job was just to be a messenger. He wasn't supposed to fight anything. Jessica was, again, just a shut-in. But here they are. And it works for Green Lantern because Green Lantern isn't a mantle. It isn't a title. It isn't, well, it's a title, but it's not like Batman or Superman. When we think about passing on on mantles, like who will be the next Batman, it's always been a contentious issue. Same thing with, say, Captain America. Mantle passing is weird. You don't have to do that with roles like Green Lantern. It's a job, and anyone of any background or color can take that. So let's get into it, starting off with the story Red Planet. So Red Planet is, I think, a really strong start, but weak in some places. The focus, despite what it wants you to say, wants you to think about, it isn't the Red Lanterns and Atrocitus' plan to create a Hell Tower to begin Operation Red Dawn to turn everyone into a bunch of rage-filled zombies. The real story is Simon and Jessica, and it's fun because you didn't really think about it until you actually began reading it. But the book makes it a big deal to point out that Simon and Jessica have never met before, and that's because they really hadn't. Simon became a Green Lantern early in New 52's run, and he sort of went missing after Trinity War. Like, there was no need for him. I think he was off somewhere else doing no one really knows or cares what. Jeff Johns was done with his run, so there went Simon Boz. Jessica Cruz got her ring after the events of Forever Evil. So they literally both just missed each other. They've been doing their own thing. And so then we get a good look at exactly what they're doing. So Simon is dealing with Argus and Waller and the FBI breathing down his neck because they want information on the Green Lantern Corps and the enemies out in space. And as his handler points out, well, all Waller has to do is say the word, you're back in Guantanamo Bay. And he's also dealing with the sort of prejudice going around, as a Muslim at the time, because while he's living with his sister and her family, there are people spraying terrorist on her garage door. And that's a problem. Jessica Cruz, meanwhile, is trying to get back into some form of normalcy. She's reconnecting with her sister and trying to, sort of move past her anxiety. And then when they finally meet, after responding to a distress call, things don't go so well. They just start barking at each other. They don't know each other. As far as they know, Hal picked them, Hal supports them, but they don't know the other person. So it gets to the point where, it turns out this was a test set by Hal Jordan. And Hal says, okay, I thought you guys could handle this, but turns out you can't, so here's what's going to happen. I've got some stuff going on in my own book called Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. And that means I can't be here, because I have my own book. So you two, chuckleheads, have to protect Earth yourself. And to make sure you do work together, I'm going to fuse your lanterns together. And it's interesting to already show exactly why these two sort of keep getting into each other's way, why they don't get along. Simon already knows pretty much what to do. He views Jessica as a rookie. And Jessica's like, well, no, I've done plenty of other awesome stuff. Not really. So I don't think I should have to, be thought of as second fiddle to this guy who I don't even know. And over the course of the story with the Red Lanterns, we sort of see exactly where the problems are with Simon and Jessica as Green Lanterns. So Simon doesn't trust his ring, and he's got a lot of anger building up around him. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't deal with, doesn't feel like he can talk to people about, even his own family. The fact, he's tired of people like Waller breathing down his neck and sending the government to check in on him for information. He's so mad at the fact that his nephew is going to have to deal with all this prejudice because he's a Muslim. He's sort of mad at the direction his life has been going. And it's noted that he still carries a gun because he doesn't trust the Green Lantern ring. Jessica, on the other hand, she doesn't trust herself. She can outmake a construct. She can fly. She can communicate with the ring, but she is yet to be able to demonstrate the mental concentration needed to make a construct, which we've seen in other stories is not as easy as it looks. But, she's a Green Lantern. She was chosen. Why can't she make a construct? And in reality, the reason she can't is because she doesn't believe she's worthy of a Green Lantern ring. And this is sort of why Atrocitus doesn't matter. Atrocitus and the Hell Tower and Red Dawn is just the hurdle for these two to overcome. Atrocitus is big and uncompromising. So is Bleeze and the other Red Lanterns. But this isn't the Green Lanterns versus the Red Lanterns. It's really Simon and Jessica versus themselves. And once they overcome that, Simon's able to do the impossible again, which is what he does with his ring. And Jessica's able to sort of take down the Hell Tower. And the two of them just sort of bond, like, okay, we're going to be partners now. And it's fun seeing them overcome the hurdles of this story. As a first step into Sam Humphries' Green Lanterns, it is fun. If you're a Red Lantern fan, I don't think this is a story for you. But then we come to a really cool story involving a new Guardian. And this is something that Green Lantern writers love to do, adding a new Guardian. It doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter now because in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, he had killed off most of the Guardians. The only two that had been left, that were Guardians, were Saeed and Ganthet. That's because those two were like the least horrible Green Lanterns. Sam Humphries introduces one of my favorite Lanterns, Raimi. And Raimi is an inventor. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to get this secret weapon, this secret ring he made, the Phantom Lantern, to Earth where it can be under the protection of Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner or John Stewart, the heavy hitters of the Green Lantern Corps. So what is the Phantom Ring exactly? Well, the Phantom Ring is a ring anyone can use. And it connects to all the emotional spectrums. So it's really cool. But as Raymond points out, because anyone can use it, no one should use it. And we don't quite get why, and we will later on. But the other character in this story, in the story of the Phantom Ring, is Frank Leminski. Now, Frank Leminski is a holdover from Jeff Johns' run. And holdover might be a bit of an unfair word. He's just another character in Jeff Johns' run that Sam Humphries wanted to use. And Frank Leminski, and actually Frank might actually be before Jeff Johns' run. I don't know. But Frank Leminski's always wanted to be a Green Lantern. Like, he worked with Hal at Ferris Air, so he knows about the Green Lantern. He wants to be a Green Lantern. When he thought it was only Hal that could be a Green Lantern, he was so happy when he saw that Guy and John and Cal could. Okay, so anyone can be a Green Lantern, right? So he devotes his life to trying to prove that he can get a ring, that he can be chosen by the Green Lantern Corps. And, he puts himself in danger, he works out, he tries to help. And one day, after he gets beaten up by doing some vigilante justice, a ring shows up. And it says, "Hey, Frank Leminski, you've been chosen to be a member of the Green Lantern Corps." It's going on his face, and then it goes like, "Oh, wait, someone's better over there." And it just ditches him for that. So, Frank is later meets Volthoom. Now, Volthoom is the first Lantern. And he's kind of scary. He's like the space representation. It's like a Green Lantern take on Dr. Manhattan. But he's a bit more sadistic. And you could argue that may be the reason why the Green Lanterns never rebooted, considering that Volthoom is able to make people see alternate timelines and alternate decisions in their life. So maybe that was messing with Dr. Manhattan. No one knows. No one really cares. So Volthoom tells Frank, like, "Look, Frank, you want a ring, all right? I know where you can get a ring, all right? That there's a Guardian in a house down here. He's got a ring that you can use, all right?" And at the time it's going on, Simon and Jessica are trying to figure out what to do about Raimi. They want to call the Green... Well, Simon wants to go off into space and find Oa or Green Lantern. Jessica says, "Well, that's kind of bad. We could just stay here and put out a call to the Green Lantern Corps, because on Earth we have the advantage. Because they've already been attacked once by people who want Raimi and the Phantom Ring." At the same time, though, they're also thinking about, well, maybe the Phantom Ring is what we need. Simon doesn't trust the ring. He doesn't feel like the green ring is good enough for him. Maybe rage is more in line with him. And this is an interesting idea here. Jessica has the same feeling too. She feels that maybe willpower isn't for her. That, maybe she's not suited for a green ring. Why did choose her? She could barely make a construct like a few days ago, actually. So maybe the Phantom Ring can help her find the element needed for her. And this is something that you hear a lot with these sort of things, whether it be the Green Lantern Corps, your Hogwarts house, what bending element is yours. Like, the computer tells you one thing, but I think I might be better suited for this one. Like, this one is one I feel a bit more attuned to. Truth is, you don't know. All right, the Sorting Hat knows more about where you belong than anyone else, despite what Dumbledore said, which, by the way, made no real bit of knowledge. Like, perhaps we saw it too early. In that context, it made no sense. So, when they put the ring on, when Simon puts the ring on, sort of see exactly what it's like, he's sort of pulled in all directions. He goes through the entire emotional spectrum: rage, fear, love, compassion, avarice, willpower. He goes through all of it, and he can't quite control it. And this is what Raimi points out, is that the Phantom Ring, does not choose. It doesn't. What it does is it picks your surface element. Whatever emotion you're feeling at the time, that's the one it goes with, and it'll keep going based on your emotional mood at the time. So if you're feeling scared, all of a sudden you're a yellow lantern. If you feel a bit greedy, you're an orange lantern. If you feel like you're in love, hey, you become a violet lantern. If you feel compassion, you're an indigo lantern. If you feel hopeful, you're a blue lantern. It requires a lot of mental concentration, and it'll just keep pulling you apart until you burn out. Volthoom does not know this, or he doesn't care. He has his own motivations for telling Frank this. Volthoom wants Raimi, and he wants to use the Phantom Ring to get there, to get Raimi, to get to Oa, to do all he needs to do. And over the course of this story, we'll find out that Raimi and Volthoom have a history, which would make sense. Volthoom was the first Lantern. The original Guardians would have all known him. And we get a bit of history as to exactly who Volthoom was, courtesy of Raimi. And apparently they had a huge falling out. I mean, Raimi himself's already been banished, so who knows about that. But when Frank gets the ring, he's totally in love with the idea of being a hero. Like, I'm a Green Lantern. I'm a hero. I can do this. And to be fair, he does a decent enough job, but he feels a bit off-putting. He was like, hey, I'm a hero. I'm here to help you out. I'm the good guy. It all feels a bit fake. It all feels a bit disingenuous. And people sort of pick up on it. But whenever met with a new challenge, he ends up turning the ring. His emotional imbalance causes the ring to turn again and again and again. And it's putting a lot of stress on his mind and body. To the point where Simon and Jessica not only can they not contain him, they have to find a way to sort of control him. What they end up doing is just sort of talking him down, because he's noticing it too, that he can't quite control it. So, rage doesn't help him. Willpower doesn't help him. Hope sort of fools him to think he can do it. Only when he hits compassion does he realize exactly what he needs to do. And he takes the ring off, but as soon as the ring's off, like, wait, what have I done? And he then gets punched out, and they take the ring. Jessica puts it on. And first she goes through the wave of different emotions of the emotional spectrum, and then she lands on green, and it stays on green. This is a confirmation Jessica needs. Jessica is a Green Lantern. The ring didn't make a mistake. That's sort of a really good way to end the story. But also, on the other side, we know that Raimi has been taken over by Volthoom. So Volthoom is now going around in Raimi's body, telling everyone that he needs to go somewhere, that, that everything is fine. He's dealt with Volthoom, and he has to go to Oa. So that's the first two stories of Sam Humphries' Green Lantern run. And honestly, I like it a lot. Jessica and Simon are really great characters because the story isn't trying to pull them all apart. There's no big, massive end game that they're getting to. It's just sort of like, hey, I'm a Green Lantern. I do stuff. And we'll see later on how they interact with the Justice League, how they'll interact with their own personal lives on a bigger level. And even when they go to Oa finally. But that'll be for another time. Anyway, with that in mind, brings this video to close here. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your fandom serve you well.